allege, then you have to prove your allegation. You that is a petitioner, you are the one that's to prove your allegation. But the appeal court said I was the one, I responded to prove the allegation. That was what happened. And unfortunately, I could not go to Supreme Court because at that time, the governorship election tribunal stopped at the appeal court. Fortunately, in the 2011 election, there was a case between CPC and INEC, which was decided by the Supreme Court. CPC also wanted to use that tactic, but the Supreme Court said no, that if you are alleging, then you have to prove. You know, I think the Supreme Court has stressed that case. And I thought the National Human Rights Commission should have actually studied my case. The report, the judgment which they based their report on, they did not study the case. If they had studied, they would not recommend it for prosecution, because it was not a correct judgment. It was a judgment that was turned upside down.
It is a pity that a body that calls itself a Human Rights Commission should be violating the human rights of people. And I believe something is seriously wrong with our Human Rights Commission. For them to be indicting somebody, they never invited me for any investigation. In fact, reading the report in this newspaper, it says they have recommended me, amongst others, for prosecution and further investigation. So if they had not completed their investigation, how come they are recommending people for prosecution when they are still saying that further investigation should be carried out? Nigerians should help me to prevail on Professor Bem Angwe and the National Human Rights Commission to tell the world where in the judgment of the Election Petition Tribunal I was alleged to have committed any offense. They should tell the world what offense I committed, and I'll be prepared to face the investigation if that is actually the case. But they are just abusing their powers and hiding under statutory immunity which they have. I will not take it. Nigerians must stand up against this kind of impunity by a body that is supposed to protect the rights of Nigerians.
Abuse of power, turning the law on its head. What a defense, I should say, rather.
Well, what's the defense? You know, the thing is that which Nigerians are to rise up against what? Nigerians that have been governed, misruled, that traumatized politically by the political clique. Are they going to rise against what? The thing is this. You see, he is saying that.
Let me help you. He's saying that his human right has been violated. Technically.
Look, the thing is that let him go to court. You know, one of them has gone to court. I think he went to court. So let's see what becomes of these court actions. You know, these are people. These are intellectually sound human beings who are the Human Rights Commission. You know, look at when Professor Odinkalu was there. Incredible human beings. You know, who know what they are doing. They couldn't have gone to do anything precipitate, just to come and rubbish themselves.
Did they step up beyond bounds?
I was going to educate everybody, those sitting at home and then my colleague here, okay? Let's start with the preamble, which is what the learned professor of law, Osarime Osumbo, who incidentally was my own dean at the Lagos State University, what he said. The closing preamble of the National Human Rights Commission Act 1995-2004, as included in the laws of the Federation of Nigeria, says, and whereas in furtherance of the above objectives and its determination to provide a forum for public enlightenment and dialogue on and to limit controversy and confrontation over allegation of human rights violations by individuals, corporate bodies, public officers and agencies, and to reaffirm the sacred and inviolable nature of human and other fundamental human rights, I state humbly that the fundamental human rights of those people who are alleged to have been indicted have been abused by mere publishing that report and having media trial like we've been having it in the last 2 years. I've said it before and I've said it again. If you have concluded your investigation like the learned professor said, then you need not even be talking about indictment. What you should do is to be going to court. I will show you very briefly what their law says as regards how to handle issues like this. Now, Section 5 of the National Human Rights Commission Act, which I believe that my colleague also must have read, paragraph E says, publish and submit from time to time to the President, National Assembly, Judiciary, state and local governments reports on the state of human rights promotion and protection in Nigeria. Where did it say that it must be published on the national pages of newspapers? Number one. Number two, I talk to you as a lawyer now. Every individual is presumed innocent until found guilty by a competent court of law. Excuse me, sir, I state that the National Human Rights Commission is not a court of law that tries criminal offenses. Competent jurisdiction.
But the law setting them up equates their findings to that of provision judgments of the courts.
I will quickly show you.
Yeah?
The issue is,
I'll quickly show you. I'll quickly show you that electoral offences, I listed them from section 118 of the Electoral Act to section 132. It lists the electoral offences. Now, section 150 talks about trying offenders of criminal offences under electoral law to state that an offence, that's 151, an offence committed under this act shall be triable in a magistrate court or a high court of a state in which the offence is committed, or the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. Paragraph 2 says, subsection 2, I meant to say, a prosecution under this act shall be undertaken by legal officers of the commission or any legal practitioner appointed by it. That's talking about INEC. When did NHRC become INEC? Number one. Number two,
it's indicted INEC anyway.
What?
Yes.
If it's indicted INEC, then you should go and say that the court should have a judicial review of the activities of INEC. It should not constitute itself. In fact, it's a meddlesome interloper. I will quickly add, sir, that electoral offences are not civil human rights enforcement.
But the law has amended.
No, even the law has amended. Is what,
that law has amended.
That's what I'm talking to you about. Electoral offences are criminal offences. They are not civil enforcement of fundamental human rights. The only way you can bring enforcement of fundamental human rights into criminal jurisdiction is to talk about the rights to vote and be voted for. That is the only human right that is related to electoral offences. I have them from section 118 to section 132. Sir, it has nothing. There's nothing similar to anything that they have done that they call electoral offences. I have for in relation to registration 117, 118, offence respect of nomination 119, disorderly behavior at political meetings 120, improper use of voters card 121, improper use of vehicles. How do you keep conducting the media trial? It's wrong.
This is a big point here.
It's wrong.
Yes. I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
From the way he sounds, and some of the provisions of the law he's read, it looks like or appears like the work done by Nigerian National Human Rights Commission was just an exercise.
No. It's not just an exercise. The thing is that issues of governance, including elections and electoral processes, are basically human beings, human rights. You understand me? Everything that you have to do with governance.
But you agree also that it's civil.
The human rights angle of this. Do you know how many people in the first 1 year of our democracy, 1999 to 2010, to 2000, 10,000 people lost their lives. In relation to, according to BBC, in relation to election violence. So you cannot keep quiet. You know, when you kill people, when you burn houses, when you destroy properties, this is a human rights issue. It's a human rites issue. People have died. People have lost their lives.
Here is what you're looking at.
In this country, we have seen where a lawyer sitting in court sending text messages between lawyers and the judge, supposedly judge in Osun State, and that thing has not been denied. So you cannot sit down. The National Human Rights Commission has a right to intervene in anything that has to do with human lives, human rights, human dignity. You know, that's what they are doing. So you see, the issue is this: if we do not get our electoral processes right and correct, this country is sitting on the time bomb. And you know that we want to avoid a situation whereby either we run into total state failure. We are already a failing state. We don't want to run to the level of state failure, and then we do not want a military resurgence.
Okay, just hold on. Just a second.
We must not get our electoral processes.
Okay, so just whether it is about consequences, about what the law says, about whether it's the effect of the actions of these people, whether professional misconduct, whether criminal, institutional, organizational. I think basically what we need to believe as we move forward, because we're going to take a break shortly, is to look at whether some of those recommendations they had the powers to recommend, and what should they have done? Just mere indictment or need for prosecution? We'll take a short break and we'll be back.